Hello, good morning. So my name is Pamela Makumbi. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about marriage and relationship. So over the past few weeks, we've talked about marriage, what it is, what God expects from us, how to do it well, and all that. So today, I thought we would start a series on singleness, and I specifically want to invite my single friends. You're welcome to watch this. Please call all your single friends. Let's talk about singleness and what it means and how we can get the best out of it. So today I want to talk about singleness. And one of the things that is so interesting about life I have noticed is that there's a way in which the world wants to put us into, what are those things called, molds. So you find that the world there's this system that you're born, then at 6 you join school, then I don't know, at you finish 7 years of primary, this is in Uganda, then you do secondary school, finish secondary school, then you do university, then you finish university, then you get married, then you get a job, and then you have 3 children, then you buy a 3-bedroom house. Like there's just this mold that has been created that we just have to fit in. So what happens when you don't fit in? Then people begin to ask questions. They're like, how come you're not going to school? How come you're not getting married? How come you don't have children? How come you don't have a house? How come you don't have a job? And so increasingly we live under so much pressure because we are trying to fit in a certain mold that the world has created. And I feel like this is not the case. I feel like lately I'm beginning to appreciate the fact that each of us has a divine purpose for our lives, that we don't have to do everything like the world has done. In fact, these days I'm even beginning to feel like, who says you have to go to university? Who says you have to have a university degree? I mean, if I want to be a cattle keeper, if I want to keep cows for milk, do I have to go to university to learn that? Or if I want to rear a chicken, do I have to go to university to do that? So I'm beginning to feel like we need to break free from these molds that the world has created. But anyway, so today I want to talk about being single. And I want to start by saying that being single is a different life from being married. It's not better. It's not worse, it's just different. It's just a different set of life. It's like how you move from one school to another school. They're different schools. They have different things that they offer. So the reason I bring this up is because we've been raised in a society where marriage looks like the thing you have to go to next. So a lot of us live with so much anxiety because we are past the age of marriage. I don't even know who decided what age we should get married at. So you find that when someone is a certain age, the relatives begin to be like, why isn't she getting married? Is there a problem with her? She should be married by now. Why are you not married? And man, who said everyone is supposed to be married? There's a lady who wrote a book and she said that the reality is that the men in the world are much fewer than the women in the world. So even if all the men got married, there'll still be women who are not married anyway because we are more than the men. But that aside, I really believe that there's a purpose for singleness as well as a purpose for marriage. And so today I just want to speak into that a bit and just tell us that you're not better off because you're married or better off because you're single. I feel like whatever life that you have chosen for yourself, you can make the very best out of it. Like you don't even have to be a certain way to be accepted by God. You don't have to be single to be somewhere. You don't have to be married to be something. Like whichever you choose should be able to work for you. And so I'm encouraging us that whether you're single or you're married, make the best of it. Like live, if you're a single person, live the best single life there is. And if you're a married person, have the best marriage there can be. And so I just want to encourage us today to relax. Like no pressure. And there's this scripture that I just want to read for us. It's from the book of Matthew, chapter 19, from verse 12 verse 11 and verse 12. And this is Jesus teaching. This is in Matthew. And I like the Message translation. It's what I'm going to read today. It says, "But Jesus said, not everyone is mature enough to live a married life. It requires a certain aptitude and grace. Marriage isn't for everyone. For some, from birth, seemingly never give marriage a thought. Others never get asked or accepted. And some decide not to get married for kingdom reasons. But if you are capable of growing into the largeness of marriage, do it." So really, I think what they're saying here is there's no straight line. As in, that whole thing we tell ourselves that I have to be married by 22, have 2 children by 27, I don't know what. It's not everyone's journey. We all have different journeys. We are created, we are unique, we have different purposes, we are called to so many things. But in the Bible, we increasingly look at the lives of 2 people, Paul and Peter. Peter was a married man and Paul was a single man. And we see that Paul was able to do so much more. He was even able to go to jail without inconveniencing anyone. He went to Corinth, Ephesus, Philippi, everywhere he was able to go because he was a single guy. He had so much time. He was free. He could do so much with his life. And that's the beauty of being single. When I was single, one of the things I loved about being single is the freedom with which I could do things. You know, these things of how you come from work and your friend calls you and they're like, "What are you up to?" And you're like, "Oh, nothing, I'm just chilling." And they're like, "Let's go for a drink." And I'm like, "Okay, find me at the gate. Like 2 minutes, I'm out of the house. I'm going to meet my friends." Or my friends would tell me, let's take a holiday. So we just wake up one morning, find out a holiday destination, and we're out. We go for our holidays. But when I'm married now, if you came and told me, "Let's go for our drink," I'm thinking, I have to pick my kids from school, then they have to have supper, then who's going to help them with homework, then maybe my daughter is sick. Man, like even just going for a drink, I need like a week to prepare myself and all that stuff. And I think that's what marriage brings. It gives you kind of a lot more responsibility. So then your life is no longer the get up and run, do this and that. And that is okay because that's the life I have chosen. I have children. I have to be responsible for them. I can't just up and leave. I have a husband. He has needs. I have to meet his needs. So there's just that thing. And there's this book written by a guy called Gary Thomas. Gary Thomas, yes. It's called The Sacred Marriage. And Gary Thomas makes a very interesting statement. He says that if you want to be like Jesus, get married. Because he says there is no other place that will teach you to be Christ-like than marriage. And those who are married will testify to this. You're going to learn to be patient. You're going to learn to be forgiving. You're going to learn to be humble. You're going to learn to be understanding. Like, you know, all these things that we talk about of learning to forgive, you're going to learn to forgive. Like, you don't have a choice. Forgiveness has to become who you are. Humility, you know, self-control. Like, all those things that you're going to learn, marriage is going to teach you like no other thing will ever teach you. But he says that if you want to serve Jesus, you stay single. Because when you're single, you're able to serve, you're able to give in your all without encumbrances of, "Oh, my child is sick." There are no stories. Like when I was single, I was in the choir at church. You guys, I didn't miss any practice. I was always on time. I would just jump on a border, get to church when I'm needed. There were no stories of, "Oh, my child is overworked," or I don't know. There's just that freedom to serve God that you have when you're single. And I think Paul even alluded to it. And he kind of encouraged us to be single. Although he said that, but if you cannot control yourself, please get married. So basically, he also kind of implied that as a single person, it's then easier for you to serve God. You're free to serve God. And I think as single people, we need to embrace that freedom that we have as single people, because It's what we can use to do so much for the kingdom of God. You can go to Timbuktu and become a missionary. I don't know. You can do anything you want with your life. So can we stop getting ourselves in positions where we become so desperate because of that pressure? Can we stop succumbing to the pressure that the world has put on us, that our families put on us? In the coming episodes, we're going to talk about the common mistakes singles make. And I know that a lot of these mistakes that singles make is really because of the pressure. Because people are asking you, what's going on? You're 25, you're 28, you're 30. Like, what are you waiting for? Get married already. And then you're so desperate to get married, you don't know what to do. You marry the next thing that approaches you. You don't care about who they are, what they do, who they represent, but you must get married because everyone expects you to get married. And that is so wrong. That is so wrong. And you know what's so funny? A lot of us have sacrificed our souls on the altar of marriage. You know, people have even done crazy things to get married. I know of some people who literally sleep with a guy so that they can get pregnant and then trap him into marrying them. Wow. That is how much we are desperate to get married. We've done things, we've done crazy things. People have even gone underwater to the witch doctor or whatever because they want to get married. And all this because there's so much pressure from our friends, pressure from our families. It's like they're always asking you, why aren't you married? Why aren't you married? So you get so, I don't know, obsessed with the idea that you will do anything. And yet, guys, did you even know that marriage is not even in heaven? You know? Like, marriage is for earth, and everything on earth will pass away. So even the marriages will pass away, and then we'll go to heaven, and there is no marriage in heaven. So why would we sacrifice our souls, sacrifice something eternal, our relationships with Christ, for the sake of a marriage, which won't even go with us to heaven, which is going to die here on earth? So marriage is not like the ultimate, I don't know. So I want to encourage us, especially those of us who are single. There's so much you can do with your singlehood. There's so much. Use your freedom for something greater than yourself. Use your freedom to serve God. Do not live your life as if you're just waiting to get married. And that's what we are. All of us have lived like that. Like, once I finish school, I'm literally not leaving because I'm preparing to get married. In other words, when I get married, then I'll start living. That's not true. Like, even now, in your single life, there's so much you can do with yourself. There's so much you can open up yourself to serve. You can do so much. You can travel the world. I don't know. There's so much you can do. You can work on your relationship with God as a single person. So do not despair because you are single. Just take a look at yourself and see all the giftings God has given you and use them and enjoy life and things like that. Because marriage is not the ultimate goal. Marriage is not, I don't know, it's not heaven on earth. I mean, we've seen people who have been married and their lives are even so much worse. There's a statement someone once made that when you're in a bad marriage, being single feels like heaven. And that is so true, guys. That is so true. Because we get so desperate to get married, we marry wrong, and then we live such a painful life. Such a painful life. And then guess what? Surprisingly, after all that drama, you divorce, and then you're back to being single. Only this time you're not just single. You're probably a single mom. You've been hurt. You know, you have all these wounds that you shouldn't have had in the first place if you had, you know, taken your time and thought through things and not married out of pressure or married because you feel like it's the right thing to do and yet it's not the right thing to do at the time. So I'm just encouraging us that it's not like marriage is not that mold that we have to fit in. It's a ministry, just like being single is a ministry. So whichever side of the line you are at, thank God for it. Find joy in whatever stage you are in your life. If you're single, find joy in it. Use it to to serve God. Even as a married people, there are opportunities to serve God. So I don't want to feel that one is better than the other. I just want to tell you that it's just two different lives for which we can make choices. And the choices that we need to make need to be choices that are based on, on conviction. They're based on, maybe you feel like this is the person God is calling you to marry, or maybe you feel like you've come to that point in your life. But please do not do it because your mother wants you to get married, or your father wants you to get married, or your friends are all married and you're the only one. You know, it's so funny. A friend of mine was getting married, and I asked her, so, you're getting married. Why? And she's like, man, I'm tired of my mother asking me when I'm getting married. Wow. Like that was her reason for getting married. So by all means, let's get married, but for the right reasons. For the right reasons. So don't just fall into things because you have to be a person that people want you to be, or that you feel like it's time, or that you feel that, you've stayed single too long. I don't know, whatever your reason is. Because at the end of the day, when you make the wrong decisions, you are going to reap the benefits of that wrong decisions, or the implications of that wrong decision. So over the coming weeks, we are going to talk about different aspects of singlehood. And I'm encouraging you to bring your friends, share the link with your friends. Let's do this journey together, and let's find peace in wherever we are. If we are single, let's find peace there. If we are married, let's find peace there. Either way, all these things are earthly things, and at the end of the day, when we die and go to heaven, there won't be marriage. It won't matter whether you are single or you are married. God bless you. Thank you for coming. See you next week.